Media Lab has changed over the years for sure. We've grown, we've become established, but by the same token, we're still the extreme innovators on the block, I think, in many ways too. I mean, we'll do things that most other labs won't even consider doing because either it doesn't make sense or they haven't thought about it yet. So we attract students that like to think out of the box. I mean, we're just a magnet for them. And the students that wouldn't necessarily fit in some of the more established departments like CSAIL, great places. But these are people that love to cross into other people's business, love to cross disciplines, love to get wild ideas. So this is the fuel that we live on. So the faculty live on an edge there and the students do. So the Media Lab still has that culture. On the other hand, we'll win best paper conferences that CSAIL will be at as well. And we've kind of grown up. We're no longer just rhetoric. And I don't think we ever were just rhetoric, to be honest with you. But at this point now, I think we have academic credibility as well as still keeping that extreme edge that the lab is known for. The students that I have are exceptional at this point. I mean, I accept maybe one, if I'm lucky, 2 students out of 100 or more applicants. So I can be very selective. These are graduate students. So we're taking people that have already done their bachelor's, already have a track record. In most cases, have already been out and worked and done something significant. They love to come to us because of our reputation, our edginess, the ability to do things out of the box that they can't do other places. They tend to be extremely creative. So my students are all technically very capable. So any of these guys could be top level engineers anywhere. So they have either a strong science background, a strong engineering background. We're a technology source at the lab, so we need that. But there are also, in most cases, artists. So I've got 3/4 of them are musicians. Actually, we have a band now in our group. So they actually got me playing keyboard with them again. So we have jam sessions, and every student is part of the band now. So it's a very close-knit team. And we've invited people from all over the Media Lab. We have lots of musicians now. So we have these massive communal jam sessions that we have. Because these guys are working very hard. They're working night and day. They're great technologists, but they're also something else. So a musician is not uncommon, especially in my group. But you have people that are animators. You have people that are journalists. You have people that are working on third world issues, for instance, the people working on kids and learning. So they have these different avocations that are very, very strong, which is why they come to the Media Lab. But they're also very strong engineers, which I think is important. And because they're who they are, it's like my time in physics, right? Physicists don't, you can't really tell them what they are in the end because they can poke their nose into anybody's business and pretend to be an authority. Not always in the best way, but I mean, they don't see boundaries, intellectual boundaries, as being necessarily prohibitive. The Media Lab students are similar. They're not necessarily physicists, some of them are, but by nature, they love to explore somebody else's work, somebody else's business, because they want to learn all about it, and they may want to contribute. And they collaborate freely. Lots of spontaneous collaborations between students in different groups that are very, very different. And those lead to projects sometimes I know nothing about until I finally see it. And 9 times out of 10, it's like, wow, you guys did this. It's great. I didn't know you necessarily were working on this, but I'm glad you were. Now, you have to work on your project too that I told you about, but by the way, this other thing is fabulous. So these spontaneous collaborations that happen between the students are actually really rewarding to see too. It's just that whole nature of out-of-the-box creativity that they express that's very special. And again, you have that all over MIT to some extent. It's just at a different level at the lab. I mean, because we live on that. You're going to have creative people everywhere at MIT, but they're going to tunnel more into their domain and pay attention to the field of study they have to learn about. Media Lab, it's all about kind of breaking those boundaries, and you see it in the life of the students. Multidisciplinary work kind of defines the role I like to play in any kind of a project. Again, even in the physics department, when I was there, I'd go to other groups, to other people that had expertise in other areas. I remember at one point some of my physics team went to talk to Doc Edgerton because they needed some new kind of material for their drift chamber. Of course, Doc just had something in a draw he gave them, and that was actually what they needed. The Media Lab, we have that more or less in-house, right? Because we're all very, very different. I mean, we have enough commonality that we can understand each other, and we can converse, and we can even talk about our work with each other to some extent. Because most of us that are there because we like to cross boundaries. So I can talk to the artists, I can talk to the technologists, and I'm comfortable in either conversation. But we get so much from each other in terms of perspective, and you take an idea, right, you drop it in front of somebody's students, or some other faculty colleagues, and they'll push it into a place you never thought it would go. So we build something as a toolkit, for example, right? And build a little sensor module. Somebody will see it and they'll say, "Oh, we could use this for this application," and suddenly it becomes something totally different. A sponsor can come in and see something we're working on for interactive media, for example, and then push it into another area that's important for them, but we never would have guessed possible.